Now, Bitcoin is making headlines again after Elon Musk bought $1.5 billion worth of the cryptocurrency. He then said that his company Tesla will start accepting payments in Bitcoin. Now, if you're wondering, the price of Bitcoin has surged by more than 300% since October, currently worth around 60,000 Australian dollars. And I read that in 10 years, one Bitcoin could be worth as much as $400,000. So what is the future of Bitcoin? Is it something we will ever use? Anya Nova is a crypto economist with Power Ledger and was named Australian Blockchain Person of the Year. So I feel I've got the right person to talk about this. Anya, hello.
Hi, Nadia. It's great to be here.
I just got to ask you first, what drew you to the world of cryptocurrency?
I probably started in my childhood, to be honest, because I grew up in Russia during hyperinflation. So there was a lot of money printing going on. And I remember the currency that we used in Russia, which is the ruble, just depreciating very rapidly. So that made me realize, I think, from really early age, that the money that we use in day-to-day life are not backed by anything. So there is not like a, gold reserve, or there is not a piece of asset that you can exchange for it. That if a government mismanages the money and starts just printing it, which is kind of what we see happening around the world right now, that money can devalue. So then when later in my life I came across Bitcoin, it just made a lot of sense because it's an item that is controlled programmatically. It's digital money for the online world, and it's limited in supply, so it cannot be overprinted.
Okay. All right. Now, let's just in the simplest of terms describe what Bitcoin is.
So Bitcoin, every time I think of it, to be honest, it just puts me in a state of awe because it's a number of things that came together. It's a really crowning achievement of computer science, cryptography, and economics, and was designed more than 10 years ago by someone. We don't know who that is. And that person was solving an issue of digital money. Because as the businesses transitioned from kind of your, brick and mortar businesses to online, there was an issue of how do we actually transact online? Because if you think about it, the way humans paid for things in the past, I might give you a gold nugget for something. You give me a house, right?
Right, yeah.
And I can't give that gold nugget to someone else because there's only one. Or same with fiat currency, right? If we're trying to print money, we just can't. A regular person can't have a printing press at home, so they can't duplicate or copy a $100 bill. But online, of course, things are not like that. Online, you can copy anything. If you have a photo, you can make 1,000 versions of that photo. So there was always this issue of how do we transact online, but make sure that we can't multiply that money. So one of the great innovations of Bitcoin is actually enabling a system of accounts and a system of money that exists on its own without any intermediaries, without banks, but where that amount of money is tracked perfectly in synchronicity, and where we can rely that if we got paid with Bitcoin, that Bitcoin has value. It's not a copy of someone else's Bitcoin.
Okay, so as an investor, I can invest in Bitcoin.
Yes, that's right. So anyone can easily open an account and with one of the cryptocurrency exchanges and just buy some Bitcoin and then hold that Bitcoin.
And then obviously, like any stock, it will go up and down. And as we've seen at the moment, it's going up ridiculously quickly.
Yeah, that's right.
I can then sell my Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's absolutely, it's gone up so much. In March, I think it was around 10,000 Australian dollars, and now we're sitting at 60. Like, who would have thought that kind of appreciation can take place? And you're free to transact in Bitcoin 24/7, so there are no restrictions like with a share market. There are centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges where you can buy and sell Bitcoin, or you can just hold it and be your own custodian. So that's another thing that is really important. So it's not that someone's holding your Bitcoin for you and they can run off with it or whatever. It's you are the one that is holding your own Bitcoin. So you're always responsible. You can travel to any country in the world and you can cash your Bitcoin out without any...
It's sitting on my phone.
Yeah,
or my hard drive, wherever, and remember your password.
Yeah, or even sitting in your head, because all it is a long code that you just have to memorize. I mean, no one does that. I don't recommend
Well,
anyone
you remember that guy overseas that I don't know if you're aware, there was somebody who actually forgot his password, so he was unable to access quite a lot of Bitcoin. Okay, Anya Nova is my guest. She's a crypto economist at Power Ledger. Look, if you've got a question for her, she's going to be here till 10. Why don't you give us a call on 1300 222 720? So how is Bitcoin used? Okay, for investors, that you've made that, you sort of help us understand how that works. Is there anyone, what about financial institutions? Are they starting to show some interest in Bitcoin and actually back Bitcoin now?
Yeah, there is a number that have been buying it for a while. I think Goldman Sachs bought quite a bit. But as you'd imagine, if they are buying it, they're not necessarily trying to let all of the world know that they're doing that because they don't want to get the price too high, which is kind of what we've seen happen with Elon Musk. First, he bought some Bitcoin and only then he's announced that he's bought it because it's just a highly responsive market. Whatever sentiment is happening, that's what affects the price a lot. In terms of investment, yeah, that's one thing. And the second thing is definitely payments, because that's what it was designed for originally. So you could pay people in Bitcoin for different services or items. And there is a number of businesses that popped up around Australia and US that allow you to do that.
So who's using Bitcoin as payments now? Well, how can you use it now?
So obviously, Tesla, you mentioned that. That's a huge validation because it's a major US company accepting Bitcoin the same way that they would accept US dollars. Other services and businesses are much smaller, so they might not be as well known. But you could pay for your holidays with Bitcoin. You could pay your bills with Bitcoin. Really, it's just a matter of kind of Googling, how do I pay for things with Bitcoin? And you would have a services come up that give you a number of options.
And it's obviously going to be those large transactions, those big, I could buy a house with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's right. You could, Bitcoin is infinitely splittable, so you don't have to spend one Bitcoin, like $60,000. You can pay for things with little parts of Bitcoin. Whether or not that's cost efficient, that's another question, because every time you transact in Bitcoin, there is a fee associated with that, the fee that goes to the network of people that secure the Bitcoin network. So you just got to be mindful of that. Sometimes those fees are really low, sometimes they're really high.
Okay, Anya, there are a lot of people that have called in with questions. Let's get to them. Let's pick your brain this morning. Alan, hi.
Good morning. Yes, my question is really more on the software side. From what I understand, there's a ledger, isn't there, electronic ledger that goes with each Bitcoin. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So it's really just a database, to be honest, on the back of it. So it is, in that way, it's pretty boring. What's exciting is that database is distributed. So that means that every Bitcoin miner, which just means someone who secures the Bitcoin network, has a small part of that ledger that they are securing. And that a collection of those Bitcoin miners that are spread all throughout the world, each maintains an accurate ledger of different account balances. So in that way, it's like a bank, but like a global bank that knows that, Ellen, you might have 10 Bitcoin, I might have 1, and someone else might have 0, something like that.
So as the transactions grow over the decades, wouldn't that ledger's copied, isn't it, to multiple machines? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So as the ledger grows, wouldn't it, get quite an overhead, like over 10, 20
overloaded.
Years?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like overloaded, you mean?
Well, you might have to transfer, a couple of gigabytes, for over.
All right, I'll get Anya to answer that, Alan, just because there are lots of people in the queue.
Yeah, so great question. So there are economic incentives for people to join the network. You're right, there is a lot of capacity that's required to maintain the ledger. But if you think about it, 6 Bitcoin are given out every 10 minutes to whoever is securing the ledger. So that's like $360,000, right? So if the network is at capacity, I'm very much incentivized to join the network and to manage that capacity for a chance to make quite a bit of money every 10 minutes.
Oh, this is fascinating. Alan, thanks for your question. Doug, Anya's listening.
Morning. Do you think that there's any other cryptocurrencies that are going to do the same or close to what Bitcoin is? For example, XRP, Ripple, Dogecoin?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there are so many cryptocurrencies out there, and not all of them are made equal. Some are of really high quality, some less so. Obviously Ethereum has done really well. Ethereum is a version of a cryptocurrency, but it has additional characteristic of being programmable. So it's programmable money, and you can execute different functionalities and contracts on top of that. And then Yeah, really. It's just take your pick, right? Go to CoinMarketCap and have a look at everything that's out there and make your own assessment as to what you think is behind that particular cryptocurrency, what it actually does. It's important to have a deep understanding, same as with shares, and whether or not you think it has a future.
Okay, Doug, thank you very much. You got a bit of homework to do there. Leanne, good morning.
Oh, good morning. My daughter and I purchased some Bitcoin off her several years ago. She handled all the transactions, was recommended to her by a friend, and we didn't invest a lot of money, but then we decided we would like maybe to take some out, and when she contacted them, she was advised that she couldn't do that, and any correspondence from then on was totally ignored, and now we sort of can't find anything. So we're just wondering if there's anything we can do to track down what's happened to her, or were there companies that set up like that and then just disappeared off the face of the earth?
Yeah, Leanne, my heart goes out to you. I mean, as with any kind of new investment, there would be people that might be taking advantage and trying to promote something. And it sounds like what happened is that someone held the Bitcoin on your behalf. And if that's the case and they are not responding, I mean, I'm really not sure. It would be some traditional, inquiries and that you can make.
Go to Consumer Protection maybe too, Leanne.
Yeah.
I don't know, as a starting point.
But the question actually points to something really important, which is every Bitcoin has a code.
Right.
And if someone's holding that code for you, they can run off with your Bitcoin. So that's why it's really important to understand who's holding the code. And ideally, it should be yourself.
Thank you, Leanne. Best of luck with that. Two quick ones before we get to the news. Mark says, can I sell my Bitcoin and then take my money out of the account as I would with shares?
Yeah. 24/7. All Bitcoin markets are open.
Now, Ian wanted to know, can you buy part of a Bitcoin? You said you can do a transaction using a little, so you can buy a fifth of a Bitcoin, for instance.
Yeah, that's right. You can buy tiny fractions of Bitcoin.
Okay. Now, I just breakdown. There's a few problems on the road. Breakdown on Kwinana Freeway southbound exit to Canning Highway in Como. The left lane is blocked there. And there's also been a breakdown on the Graham Farmer Freeway westbound at Loftus Street exit at West Perth, and the left turning lane there is partially blocked. Before I let you go, so where do you think we will be? Like, what percentage of people do you think will use Bitcoin? In 10 years' time, for instance, where do you see this cryptocurrency being in 10 years' time?
Well, I'm a bit biased. I'm a big fan of cryptocurrencies. I think it's a genuine technological innovation, the likes of which the financial markets haven't seen in a long time. I think it's the backbone, the architecture of the new financial system. So I think it will be really widely used.
Fascinating conversation. Thank you so much, Anya Nova, crypto economist at Power Ledger. Just a couple of people asking, again, the kind of things you'd buy with it, really, because you can have anything, you can buy anything with it, because you can have a part of a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
For all those people, anything you want, really.
Yeah, that's right.
Anything
it's not the question of the Bitcoin, it's a question of businesses that pop up around it that take payment as Bitcoin.
And we'll see more of that?
Yep.
Absolutely. Fascinating. Good on you, Anya. We'll have to get you back in. Lots of questions.